Today we are going to talk about switching feet. Let's go. Thanks so much for joining us. Today we are going to talk about switching feet. I recently posted the same video in French and YouTube did some sort of like auto dubbing in English for English viewers, and I got a lot of feedback, people hating it. Not my fault, this is actually YouTube, but here is the English version, so now you don't have to watch the French version dubbed by YouTube. So we are going to talk about switching feet, and I think the first thing we really need to talk about is when do we switch feet? How do we use the switch feet on the water? Well, to me, what's very important is to know, are you goofy, are you regular? And from there, we are always going to position ourselves in our right stance to do any maneuver. So I'm going to switch feet before my jibe or my tack, or after, depending on how I'm approaching my maneuver. So personally, I'm regular, left foot forward. So if the wind was coming from the camera and I'm riding away here and it's time to turn around, well, I'm not gonna do my maneuver goofy. I'm gonna switch feet and then go into my jibe or my tack. And maybe some of you would ask like, well, why don't we learn how to do the maneuver both ways? The reality is, even if you look at pro racers, everybody is just using the foot switch to position themselves in the right stance. If you wanted to ride waves, you would pretty much do the same. You would ride the wave in your good stance. It's like playing tennis. Of course, the forehand is better. Why don't pro tennis player learn how to do a forehand on both sides? That's not how it is for the majority of people. So we learn how to do a forehand, we learn how to do a backhand. Here we have a good stance, we have a strong stance, and we're going to use it to our advantage. So we learn the foot switch, and that solves the issue of having to do a maneuver in your wrong stance. So now that we know when we're going to be switching feet, some tips on how to get the foot switch the most consistently possible. The first thing is going to be how your feet are on the burn. If you ride very wide, that gives a lot of leverage on the burn. Let's say the sweet spot is here, the space between the sweet spot and my foot, that creates a lot of leverage. That means as soon as I'm going to have more weight forward or back, huge impact on the burn. So to make it more forgiving, we're going to have to narrow our stance over the sweet spot. That way, if we do a few movements forward and back, it's not going to have a massive impact on your pitch, on how your board is going to react. That's one thing. The other thing is, are you riding over the center line with your feet over the center line, or are you offset? There is a huge advantage of positioning your feet offset in riding, in my opinion, but also with the switch feet. So if I position my feet exactly over the center line, when it's time to switch feet, it's going to be a total 180. I went exactly 180 degrees. Now, if I position my feet offset with one foot on each rail, pretty much, I'm not into a skiing position. I'm just pretty much a 45-degree angle, let's call it like that. Now, when I'm going to switch feet, I'm only going 90 degrees instead of 180. The other advantage it's going to have is when I'm riding toe side, it's going to feel a lot more comfortable because I don't have to be so twisted. I can be a little more facing forward. It's going to untwist a little. It's going to be easier to go upwind. So narrowing our stance and positioning ourselves offset. If you don't like to ride like that, at least just prepare your feet just before the foot switch. You're going to switch your feet and then you can get back to your stance that you like. So we position ourselves with a narrow stance offset. Now it's going to be time to go for the foot switch. What's very important is to have a moment of weightlessness. Like we have no weight on the board at the time when we switch, and then when we land again, we are back to we already switch our feet. The feet are gonna meet in the front. So the step is gonna be, we're gonna count 1, 2, and we will be done. 1, 2, we are done. But on 1, that's when my feet are here, I have no weight on the burn. So my nose is not diving down because I have no weight on the burn. So it's light, and then I come and I rest. The timing is just like pumping. When we pump, we have that moment of releasing our weight at the summit. So it's the same kind of like timing as pumping, except at the summit, we're gonna switch feet, and then we land from our hop. So we need to go weightless. What's gonna help us? We can spot a little piece of chop on the water that we're gonna use it a little as like a small ramp. It's gonna be very subtle, it's not a jump, but still that weightless moment at the summit of the chop. Next thing is gonna be, we need to make sure we have plenty of power in our wing, because if I have a lot of power, I can power my wing and help me get light. I don't want to power it like sideways, like I want to pick up a lot of speed. I want to make sure I keep my wing high and I power it so it's relieving a bit of my weight. The chop, the wing, and then the next thing is going to be a little hop. We need to make sure that we go up a little. So if you know how to pump, or you kind of have a little feeling of the pump, it's going to be the same system. We're going to go as if we were going to go for one pump, except that's when we switch feet. So those are all the ingredients we really need to make sure that we have a clean foot switch. We want to make sure that on the other side of the foot switch, we really again use that wing, because we made some movement. It's not always going to be perfect. So we're going to have to do some small correction, maybe in your balance, maybe in how your feet are positioned. So we want to make sure that we use the wing to our advantage, to have something that we can hold and kind of like make sure we are balanced, make sure we can fix our feet. And if we stay really over the sweet spot, like I said at the beginning, we're gonna have less impact on the burn, and everything can be fixed after. It's never gonna be perfect, but we can fix it. If we have massive impact on the burn, because we have so much leverage, we're gonna make big mistake, and it's gonna be harder to correct them. So we wanna find the sweet spot, and we're gonna be switching feet right there, as little steps as possible. So you wanna count in your head, 1, 2, and you are done. We cannot hang out, we cannot do it in 10 steps. It has to be 1, 2, we fix it, and we ride away. The other thing that's important is dissociating the upper body from the lower body, because we are holding the wing in our hands. We have the wing perfectly positioned, we have power in our wing. We don't really want to disturb that. So we want to keep the upper body as still as possible, because it's well positioned. Only the lower body is going to rotate. So it's really going to be the hip and your wing, pretty much your shoulders, are not really going to have much movement. It's only going to be a rotation of the hip. So before you go in the water, practice on the beach. Put your bird, before you put your foil on the bird, put your bird on the ground. Maybe put it on your bird bag if you don't want to scratch it with things on there. But have some wind so you can feel the power in your wing, and really practice getting your feet together. So you're gonna walk heel toe till you are like offset, feet close enough together. Power in your wing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Practice that on the beach. Then when you go in the water, you can practice it bird on the water. But to me, it's a bit like a bike. If you don't have much speed, it's going to be a bit harder to practice. So I feel like once we are up on foil, it's actually a little easier. And for sure, at the beginning, if you want, once you are up on foil and it's time to switch feet, just get yourself a bit lower. Don't go too high. That's going to make it maybe give you a bit more confidence. So you know you can maybe do a little touchdown. That's fine. It might help you. But ideally, the speed is going to help you balance and kind of like correct it after. It's just like biking. If you ride slow, it's harder to balance. Once we get a bit more speed, it's a lot easier. If when you switch feet, you really need to do a touchdown because your board goes down quickly. In my opinion, it's because we don't have that weightless moment that we need. That means maybe you are doing 1-2, but you are doing 1-2. And when we go 1 and we are loading the board with both feet on the nose, that board is going to go down, and maybe that's why we need the water to pretty much stop it from going down, because now it's floating. So if that's your problem, that means you are missing the weightless moment that's going to allow you to go 1-2. And even though my feet were together here, there was literally no weight. It would be interesting to have some sort of a device with like a sensor on your shoes that could measure how much weight I have. But when I'm here, there was literally not much weight at all. That's why the burn stayed pretty still. And I went a little up to just kind of like help me with my like weightless moment. And then I land from it, I go down, and I ride away. So now we are gonna head to the water, but first check out wingfoilprocenter.com. If you find this video valuable, if you learned something, I would really appreciate you going to check it out. The shop, that's the best way to support this YouTube channel. And now let's head to the water and see it in action. We are in the water now. We're gonna practice switch fit. So right now I'm actually a regular, but I'm going goofy. So I'm waiting for a gust, and just to be more effective, I'm gonna even practice, boom, switching feet with the board on the water. Clack. And I'm gonna position myself regular, so I know when I have that gust, my pumping is gonna be a lot better. Okay, let's see. I see a gust here coming. Let's see if we can take off. Okay, I'm up. I'm gonna figure out my feet position. I'm gonna go into a jibe right away to try to stay close to the camera. I come out of my jibe, I don't have much speed, so I'm gonna pump a little. And then I'm gonna go into my foot switch. I had a gust. I'm gonna go again because I'm gonna have to jibe. Foot switch, and I jibe. So, important thing is speed. You wanna have power in your wing, because that small moment when you go weightless, well, if you have power in your wing, that's gonna help you go weightless. And then if you want to practice that moment, it is a bit of like the pumping where I go weightless at the summit, except at some point at the summit, I switch my feet. And then I go again, and I switch my feet. It has to be quick, so you can count in your head the movement 1-2. On 1, I'm weightless. So on 1, my front, both of my feet go to the front, but I'm not putting really any weight. And then on 2, I load again. Here, I'm gonna go 1-2. And again, 1-2. So on 1, I had both feet in the front, but really I didn't have much weight on there. So the other thing is, if you tend to ride with your feet really wide or on the center line, make sure that you're gonna prepare them when you are about to switch feet. So I'm not gonna go into a switch feet like that here, because it's gonna be really hard. I'm gonna try to get my feet closer together, find the sweet spot, and it's gonna be a lot easier. The bird is not gonna move as much if I'm perfectly positioned over the sweet spot, where if I'm here, I have so much leverage that that bird is gonna move all over the place if I put weight on one foot more than the other. Let's see. So I came out of my jibe, I didn't have much speed. Not a good time to switch my feet. So I make sure that I'm gonna be able to build speed before I go for it. And then notice how I'm only switching feet. Like right now I'm a regular, this is my good stance. I'm never gonna switch feet and put myself goofy to do a jibe. Why would I do that? But now I'm like toe side. Let's say I was gonna go for a while, I would switch feet to be comfortable. I'm about to jibe. I'm not gonna jibe in my wrong stance. Why? and then I put myself regular, and then I go for it. Here, I'm going into my jibe pretty quick. That's just because I don't have much room to stay close to the camera. But really, after your foot switch, so you come out of your jibe, you're gonna go a little pump, go weightless, and then at some point, boom, right here. Then before my jibe, I'm gonna switch feet, and then I'm gonna make sure that everything is good before I go into my jibe. Same thing for the jibe, you need speed. So if your foot switch made you lose all of your speed, you're gonna have to work on getting speed before you send your jibe. Otherwise, you might not complete your jibe. So here I'm gonna go weightless, perfect, and weightless. I can sometimes spot a little piece of chop that I'm gonna use almost as like a ramp. But you want your burn to go up and down because it's literally the same movement as like pumping when we have that like weightless moment at the summit of your pump, except at that summit, that's when we go and we switch feet. Now what's really important also is how my upper body doesn't really move in that process. That's why we really want to practice that on the beach, is how can we dissociate and really only the hip and the lower body is going to move, but the upper body is holding the wing in a good position, is not really changing. So here my upper body hasn't changed. It was all my hip. My wing hasn't really changed, and I had power in my wing the entire time. I want to use the power in my wing to help me go weightless, to help me be stable. When I come out of my foot switch, if I'm like slightly off balance, having that power in your wing is gonna help. That's why you can't go too far downwind, otherwise you might not have that power. So sometimes you could edge a little into the wind because it's gonna give you a little more power into your wing, and you're gonna be able to like hold it to make sure that you are like nice and balanced coming out of it. So the most important thing, prepare your feet before you go into it. Don't go into it super wide, it's gonna make the board really twitchy. Find the sweet spot here. If you are right over the sweet spot, you're gonna have less impact on the burn. Speed, you want good power in your wing to help you, and you want to have that like weightless moment. You count 1, 2, on 1, that's when you are like weightless, on 2, you load. By that time, you are done with your foot switch, you are like just doing your small correction. It's never gonna be perfect, but if you are close enough, you're gonna be able to correct it pretty easily. And you can practice, for sure, you can practice like bird on the water and kind of like try to practice that. It's almost, honestly, I feel like it's almost harder to practice bird on the water. Maybe it's just because like it's like biking, when we will like ride slow, it's harder like to balance. So I hope you guys learned something today. I hope this was helpful. Please let me know in the comments what is your experience if you finally got your foot switch. I always love to hear from you guys. Get out there, have fun, stay positive, because it's not an easy process, but if you keep practicing, you're gonna get it. See you guys next time.